Hey, what is up? Cody here from the new Lightspeed Social Studios here. Just finished moving. Don't quite have things set up how they're going to end up here yet. But we are in progress and wanted to get back in front of you with some content that would help you if you're thinking about, kind of doing your post-mortem for this past year and looking at what you can be doing going into the spring to make things work better next year. And the big thing that we're going to be talking about today is how to price your services and then how to position your company so that you can command the prices that you want to be asking for, those premium top of market prices. So in order to price lawn care correctly, a lot of times where people will tell you to start is kind of like, think about what the market will bear. And here's the thing about that. You're going to end up copying people. You're going to ask friends what they're willing to pay. And then you're going to build your business based around what just sort of some random data told you, instead of starting backwards from the things that are going to be central to your business and really inform how the business grows over time. So the big things that we're going to talk about there are your overhead costs, kind of separated from labor for a second there. So that is your gas, maintenance on equipment, all of that sort of thing that if you're already in business, hopefully you're tracking. This stuff is going to be, it's not quite marginal compared to labor, but it is going to be a much lesser expense. So if you are just getting started coming into the spring, you can kind of take a stab at these numbers, kind of set a percentage, and then evaluate midway through the season and see, is this working? Do I need to raise prices? Is this cutting into my margins where I don't want it to? And then the other thing is labor. And this is the single biggest recurring cost for your business. If you box yourself in here where you cannot afford to pay top wages for lawn care in your market and start beating out, Burger King and all of these other easy entry level, not easy, but easy to get in the door at entry-level positions, then you're going to run into a problem where you're constantly losing employees. You have built your pricing structure where you cannot afford to pay more to compete with who's taking your employees, right? So we want to build backward. We need to figure out the absolute top dollar that we can pay to get people on the walk behind while still being able to price in a way that people will pay us for the service. So this should be your priority number one, is figuring out how to make wages as high as possible. And so that is where we're going to talk for just a second about branding before we move into just sort of the formula that you need to use to figure out pricing. So a big thing that you have to do here is you have to present the kind of company that can command top of market pricing from customers, right? So this might mean that you need to, make things a little more professional looking, making sure that the truck is clean every day when people see it. That might mean you need to clean it off every night. It needs to be sprayed down every night to get rid of, random grass and dirt that's been flung up on it during the day. It might look like, wrapping a truck instead of throwing a magnet cling on it, or making sure that the magnet cling is nice and it's not sun-baked from years in the field, or flaking, all that kind of thing. Bring your professionalism up. Figure out how to present yourself and we have content about branding and all of that. If you look, I did an interview probably a couple years ago now with Jacob Godar about branding on the YouTube channel that is absolutely worth your time. So you have to present yourself as the kind of company that can command top of dollar in the market so that you can pay top dollar so that you have the best employees. And let me tell you, this is going to remove so many headaches. I cannot tell you how many lawn care business owners and landscaping business owners I talk to who are having a ton of problems hiring. And then we try to work through getting ads up for them, and I get their rate for guys in the field. And it's well, yeah, they could work in the air conditioning for $5 an hour more. Why would they ever consider this job? If you have your wages in such a way that you're only getting the people who absolutely have to take your job, you're going to end up with people who are, number one, going to jump ship as soon as possible. The second $1 an hour more is available at a job that is less punishing, they're going to take it. And the other thing is, you're going to end up with the people who have no other options, nowhere else to go. This is how lawn care companies get a reputation for hiring, unsavory employees that then people are uncomfortable with them on their lawn. The basic formula that we want to talk about here is how long would it take you, just you, to take care of the entire property, right? So you're looking at, usually you can do this kind of neighborhood by neighborhood, right? So you can have a basic price in mind for the neighborhood, and then if the lawn is a little bit bigger than normal or has more obstacles than normal, you can inflate a little bit on top of that base price for the neighborhood. But generally, lots in a neighborhood are going to be around the same size with some variance. So you're going to be looking at the neighborhood and you're going to say, how long is it going to take me to mow, blow, edge, that entire thing? If you are a landscaper, you're going to think about projects in these terms. You're going to think about how long would it take me to do everything that needs to be done from the moment I get on site to when we are completely done. How long does that take? And so that gives you the man hours that this job takes, and you need to set a rate for what you're selling man hours at. And anyone who tries to give you a magic number here where they tell you need to be selling at 150 or 200 or whatever, they're full of shit, right? Your market is going to be completely different, and that number needs to be as high as the people in your market will support. There is no like, oh, well, above this, you're a scammer, and below this, you're getting cheated. If you're in a super rural area, that number is going to be pretty low, right? It's going to be depressed, but the cost of living is also lower there. So you have to look at that. $1 per hour amount in various areas is going to have different buying power just based on the area that you're in. If you're doing urban lawn care in Seattle, I promise you're going to charge more for a postage stamp lawn than someone in rural Texas is going to charge for a half to a full acre. You have to figure out how many hours it would take just you to do it. So, and this is because I want you to be thinking about it in this way so that when you scale to a crew, it's still easy to do this. So when you go from 1 guy to 3 guys on a crew, or 2, whatever the number is you have on the crew, you take that raw number of man hours and you divide it by the number of crew. So the way you can think about this is, in a perfect world, if 3 guys went to a yard that would take you an hour by yourself, it should take them 1/3 of an hour, right? So let's make that 4 guys on the crew so that it is, turn toward the camera here, 4 guys on the crew so it makes the math a little bit easier for us. We can think about it in real minutes. So if it would take you 1 hour to do a job and you have 4 guys show up on this job, you would want it to take them 15 minutes, right? So 15 minutes is 1/4 of an hour. You divide the 1 hour by 4. That's how we get to that 15 minutes. But 4 guys working for 15 minutes is 1 man hour, right? So I want you to be able to do this backwards and forwards, right? Because the man hour is what we're actually selling, right? So 4 guys in the field, we know our labor cost for that. If you paid them each $20 an hour and it takes 1 man hour to get the job done, it costs you $20. And that doesn't include your, overhead for any taxes to keep these employees on. We're thinking in really basic numbers here so that you can compute what you need to know to price getting out the gate, fixing a problem if you are underwater with services after this past year. What I would suggest, if you do not have a great handle on what your costs are, so you have that like raw employee number where we paid these people this much per hour. You can look in your payroll software to figure out your taxes and everything that they're getting per paycheck, and then divide that by the number of hours that they worked and tack that on so that you have that like full idea of the labor cost. And then what you want to do, if you don't have maybe you didn't track well this past year, maybe you're just getting started, so you don't know exactly what your fuel and maintenance costs are going to be. What I would recommend is just picking a percentage and adding a surcharge. And this might feel a little bit like, throwing a dart at a dartboard with a blindfold on, but I want you to build it into your budget that you are covering those costs, right? You need to build that in. So I would pick somewhere 5 to 10% that you're just tacking on to your quoting process over your man hour rate, and then you're going to have that additional amount that you're going to add that is just sort of the market adjustment, right? If you've been to a used car lot in the last couple of years here, you have seen a lot of market adjustment line items. So let's then push it to the most the market will support. And that's going to not just be what the market will pay for lawn care, it is what the market will pay a business like yours to do their lawn care. So you're not just selling maybe you are just selling a, maintained lawn and that's it. But what I want you to be selling, what gets you entitled to premium pricing for your lawn care, is selling reliability, selling the feeling of a lawn that looks good all the time, right? Whatever they need for their lawn, you are taking care of. If you are in the business of doing weed control and fertilization, then you're selling a greener lawn than they've ever had before, a healthy lawn, a lawn that is safe for the kids to play on, a lawn that is safe for the dog to run back and forth on. You want to be selling things that are the experience of the lawn, not just anyone can save them the 20 minutes it would take them to get out the lawnmower and mow the lawn. 20 minutes is probably a pretty ungracious, or a pretty gracious read of how long it would take a homeowner to take care of their lawn. But anyone can save them that little bit of time. You want to promise them, not only are you saving them that time, you're doing it better, you're doing it in a way that's going to help the lawn be healthy all season. Really look at some of the branding content on the channel. That's what I have to tell you here. You have to go look at that. It's going to help you position yourself so that you can command those premium prices. So remember, the way that you price lawn care services is to figure out the raw number of man hours so that you know your cost. How long is it going to take my guys to take care of this lawn? What is that cost? Then we want to add our fuel and maintenance surcharge onto there, our profit margin, make sure that we're taking care of the business so the business can grow and continue to provide a job for the guys on the crew, continue to support you and your family. All you have to do is figure out what your costs are and then add what you need to be making on it to make it worth everyone's time to be there. So just remember, you are selling labor. You are selling man hours on the job, your time on the job, the crew's time on the job. And so make it worth whatever you're paying everybody to be there, what you need to make to manage everything. Build that into your pricing structure and you will be profitable, right? And so then that gives you a target to measure everything against, right? So if you're using a kind of lawn care specific CRM, you're going to be able to track your budgeted man hours versus your actual time on the job. And then you can look oh no, I didn't price this correctly, right? So that's the kind of thing you want to start tracking. That's going to help you start to systematize the business and grow as you keep going here. And I know that this video is a little bit outside of where we usually talk. We're usually much more marketing and branding focused, but I know that this is such an important question and that it dovetails into the marketing side of the business so much, because to be able to command the most profitable pricing for your services, you have to be branding and marketing correctly. The only way you can get top dollar is if you look like the kind of company that should get that top dollar, right? So these things go together, and if you have the correct marketing, the correct branding, you will be able to command top dollar, which means you're paying your guys the best in the market, you're making the most. So all of these things work together. So we're going to be producing this kind of content as we're going through the fall into the winter here, helping people ramp up for the spring, whether you're starting a new business or you're just trying to revamp your existing business and make it more profitable next year. So stick around if that's the kind of content that you're here for. Make sure to subscribe, click the bell for notifications. You can see the equipment behind me here. We're going to be starting a podcast for Lightspeed Social Agency. So get subscribed to that when we'll let you know when it's out, ready to go. We've got big things in the works here for the winter. We want to stay in your ears and on your screen in front of you, helping you figure out how to grow your lawn care business